Good morning and welcome to the Daily Cyber Briefing for Wednesday, the 2nd of April. I'm Stephen Ridgway. There is some evidence that there has been a significant data breach from ex-Twitter, that has resulted in a significant amount of, in fact, around 200 million user records being leaked this year. The reason there's some confusion is that there was, as I'm sure you're aware, a leak in 2022 when Twitter was still Twitter, that resulted in a very significant amount of user information being taken. That was due to an exploit of a vulnerability that did get fixed. It does appear, however, that there is a whole load more information that may actually have been taken by a disgruntled employee during the mass layoffs after the Elon buyout, which resulted in something just under 3 billion ex-user records being leaked, and that has come to light this year. So there is further confusion because the person responsible for releasing this data appears to have merged new information with information from the previous breach, making it difficult to understand what's new and what isn't. Either way, there is floating around at the moment a 34 gigabyte CSV file containing over 200,000 data entries. 200,000? What am I talking about? 200 million data entries. What should one do about this? Well, firstly, there's nothing you can do about the fact that the data is out there. What the risks or the raised risks are mostly the usual sort of stuff. This information can be used to make phishing attacks look more realistic. It can be used in targeted scams and social engineering attacks. So it is worth remaining vigilant, especially if you are a regular user of Twitter. Remain vigilant that you may be targeted, and don't fall for the fallacy that nobody would be interested in me. There are adversaries. Nation-state adversaries are quite happy with the concepts of a compromise at scale. They don't know what to do with your account right now, but they know that it could be useful for creating disruption later, and disruption is the one of the best ways to undermine the stability of their potential enemies. So, your account may be one amongst many, but if they've got access to all that many accounts, that can be used to spread alarm and despondency and generally undermine the workings of the Western world. So be aware. So update your privacy settings, renew your account permissions, be aware of social engineering. And if you see or suspect that there's suspicious behavior regarding your account, report it to X. Basically, keep your eyes open. North Korea has for a while been using the fake tech worker scam mostly to target organizations in the USA. The way this works is in the post-COVID world, remote working and globalization, general globalization over the last 20, 30 years, and so on and so forth, tech jobs are often advertised to anybody in the world. I think it's fair to say that recruiting processes have not necessarily kept pace with technology or developments in this particular space, and certainly the ability to identify who it is that you're interviewing certainly hasn't kept track of this. So the idea being North Korean adversaries will then interview for tech jobs in Western, mostly historically US companies. Once they have passed the interview, they then get delivered, company kit or whatever it was, except the company kit is then put in the hands of the adversary, who will do things like connect it up via VPNs to North Korean organizations, which will be doing things like stealing information, stealing patents, the usual sort of stuff. As most organizations that are being targeted have intellectual property or other valuable ethical assets within their organization, those things are being targeted via organization provided kit given to people who are under the control of North Korean organizations. So it is becoming increasingly difficult for them to successfully target US organizations, because there's a lot more knowledge out there now about this. So beware, those of us in the UK. There is a move to target UK organizations in exactly the same way. So if you want to know what to do to avoid being hit by this stuff, firstly, don't laugh. It does actually go on, and yes, some otherwise very reputable organizations have been successfully scammed by this. So now it is worth taking it seriously. So as part of your recruitment process, make sure you know who it is that you're talking to. One of the ways that the scam works is that there will be things like they'll claim that, their webcam has just stopped working. Can they do the interview off camera? They will quite likely use AI to assist with answering interview questions. They may possibly, if they're successful, ask for a laptop to be sent to an address that doesn't match the address that they appear to have been that they put on their recruitment forms. So that sort of stuff, little anomalies. But often they're very good. Join the dots and make sure that they successfully get infiltrated into your organization. So have a little think if you are recruiting globally for tech roles in your organization, and make sure that your HR processes are robust enough to be able to address this, because I bet you there are a lot of people, a lot of recruiting managers that wouldn't even dream that this might be going on. It is worth being aware of. Google is bringing end-to-end encryption to Gmail. Hurrah! Finally. I mean, you could do it anyway, but it involved messing around with SMIME, which is fine for those of us in cyber, because if, like me, you're a bit geeky, you quite enjoy faffing about with this sort of stuff. It's like kind of cool. Oh wow, that encrypted. That's really cool. Yeah, an awful lot of people don't know or don't care how to do that. So there are other methods of dealing with this sort of stuff, and Google is implementing some of these things now. I think this is well worth being aware of because um, the lack of encryption, the lack of security around emails is not well understood. In fact, I think what's surprising is how little most business people understand around how secure this stuff is. They see because they have to log in to something that therefore everything that is behind that login wall must be by default secure. Well, it isn't, especially with email. I won't go into the whole history of why email isn't secure or why email actually isn't even a guaranteed delivery method. However, Google are now implementing end-to-end encryption. The way it works is between Google accounts. Yes, they will be using certificates, and yes, it will be very transparent in the way that the emails are encrypted and decrypted from Google to Google accounts. If you're sending emails to non-Google accounts, they will receive an email with a link that provides them a guest login via a temporary Google account, which then will allow them to decrypt and read the email. So kind of pretty simple. It's not unique by any manner of means, but it is pretty good for a major player to be considering this stuff and implementing these things. Google has not historically been particularly good, in my opinion, around interoperability with other systems at any level. You try managing file sharing securely via Google Drive, and you will discover they have had many attempts at finding ways of doing it. From the you can't share stuff with people outside of the Google world because, well, Google, through to you can send people links, you can do this, you can do that, lots of complicated. So they haven't been particularly strong in that space in the past. This looks like they are taking interoperability with non-Google realm people a little more seriously, and it's kind of cool. One thing though I will expect us to see, however, is that the UK government will undoubtedly step in and will back our increasingly lazy law enforcement in attempting to ban this stuff. And then, yeah, two final things from me. One is a quick update from yesterday's article around Apple patches. Apple Watch patches came out after the after I'd spoken on the briefing. So if you are the owner of an Apple Watch and you were feeling somewhat left out yesterday, don't worry, updates are out there. Bear in mind also, watch updates seem to take a little longer to propagate than some of the other things that I see in the Apple world. So don't worry, it's probably on its way. And then very finally from me, okay. I will try and find. I can't at the moment find an article paywall because it seems to have hit national national news rather than cyber news. The UK police forces are being required to use facial recognition en masse during investigations at the moment. One of the many non-governmental, non-accountable, non-democratic governing bodies of law enforcement in the UK has suddenly decided that all investigations now should involve retrospective use of facial recognition, and that the police now will be asked, in fact required, to go and trawl social media, the internet, anything you might have done in order to get pictures of you, and then cross-check that against the absolutely astronomical amount of data that they've been hoovering up over the last few years and hold in the leaky old national police database. Um, if you bear in mind, by the way, that in the UK law, to the best of my knowledge, there are no restrictions on the use of facial recognition, and none of the unaccountable non-governmental governing bodies have issued any guidelines around how this data should or shouldn't be used. So I think there's a fantastic opportunity, by the way, if you're a lawyer and you want to make a lot of money. I think there's a fantastic opportunity for a completely pointless but very expensive and long-lasting court challenge to the way this data is being used. However, there we go, personal opinion. Anyway, if you are the owner of a face, be aware the police are busily searching for you if they think you have been in any way associated with anything that they don't like, such as hurty words. Good. That's the end of this podcast, the end of my government overreach rant of the day. I hope you have a good day, and I'll speak to you all again tomorrow morning.